This episode is brought to you by Beefcakes. Beefcakes is not your traditional gym. If you want to lay down between bench presses, go ahead. You want to pee outside? That's fine. Just be mindful of my neighbors. Do you want to not clean up your dumbbells when you're done with them? Go right ahead. Just be prepared for some ridicule. Do you want a chocolate fountain? Do you want a nacho bar? Perhaps you'd like to sit down on one of our fine leather couches and play NHL 22 on the Xbox. Cool. That's great. If you're tired of a traditional big box gym and you still want to get that pump but maybe have a snack, Beefcakes is the gym for you. Come see us today at Beefcakes.
Hey you, businessman! Do you travel through airports regularly? Does your diet consist mainly of fast food? Do you ever have about 13 minutes to get from one airplane to the next gate but need to push out an enormous shit? Dump Muffler is for you. It's lightweight for carry-on luggage, USB compatible for the latest muffling options, and best of all, it comes with a free lanyard to wear around your neck. Now offering Monster Truck Engine. Woman screaming. Dogs barking. An air horn frenzy.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Angel Road Outdoors, the podcast. I am your host, Brett, and I am joined today, Friday afternoon, by nobody. I had good intentions of getting some people on here and wasn't able to sync anybody's schedules up this week. I also didn't try that hard, but I tried to get my brother over here, and he was here yesterday for my birthday, but he seemed to have hit a physical and mental exhaustion wall at about 7:15, and he was slowly starting to collect his things and work his way out the back door to go home. I realized that his children are not feeling well, and I think he was up all night the night before, so no problem. We'll just do a quick, short, little episode by myself today. I got a lot of notes. I'm working on syncing up with a couple other people. I might even go do somebody else's podcast in the next couple weeks as a guest. So stay tuned for some more good stuff. But today I kind of wanted to just touch on a couple things I've had scribbled down on my notes paperwork down here for a little while. First and foremost, this is kind of a touchy subject, and I think it's probably going to ruffle some feathers. And I think some people can be very opinionated about this, and I'm not sure how many people will agree with me, but I feel very strongly in what I'm about to say. I saw a post about this related to not hunting. It was strictly about personal people and their feelings and how they live their life and sort of what's going on. So the statement goes as follows. Oh, never mind. I don't have the exact statement. Sorry, I lied. But I'm going to say it like this. Foregoing your passion to ensure that you're at everybody else's events is literally self-abandonment. And I don't find it admirable. In my opinion, there is not enough time in this life. And I think it's really important for your family, especially your children, to know that you, as an adult human, also have passions, things that you enjoy doing, and it is actually mostly beneficial for them to see you attempt to do your best at balancing everything in your life. And what I mean by that in a deeper level as it relates to hunting is I've heard a lot of people say during interviews that they do no matter whatever it takes to be at their kids' events. Regardless of how much they don't get to do hunting, no matter how many things they don't get to do for themselves, they are always at their child's whatever it is, dance, baseball, t-ball, wrestling, hockey, football, whatever, ping pong, pickleball, darts, competitive darts, bowling, whatever it is. These people feel, and they've made a decision, this is not a personal attack at them, they made a decision that in their opinion, always being at those events is of utmost importance. And while I agree that you need to be present for your children's events or in your wife's activities or whatever it might be, if you completely abandon those things that are your true passions in life, you are literally self-abandoning yourself. You are foregoing everything that you love for the benefit of other people. And I think it's actually more beneficial if you show people that you have a healthy balance. And a healthy balance includes all of those things that you do for yourself. No matter what they are, no matter how frequently you miss something, as long as you have an agreed healthy balance in all aspects of your life, it's more important than you not hunting most of the season because you need to be at a t-ball game or dances. I know this firsthand, and I made it very clear to my dad that I appreciate his sacrifice because as now a father of 3, I know how many times you have to make that decision to not do something for yourself so that you can do something for your children. And that is wonderful. It's a wonderful gift to be able to have kids and make those sacrifices. But I realize that my dad probably, and he may not even admit it, but he probably gave up completely several things in his life or chose to forego certain activities so he could take my brother and myself to hockey. My brother and I played competitive hockey nonstop for probably 15 years. I mean, it was a year-round, pure 100% dedication to hockey for about 15 years. Maybe not 15. Let me see here. If I was 20 when I stopped, let's call it 12 years. Let's call it 12. Let's call it 10. Let's say for 10 years we played travel hockey nonstop, year-round, from classes to training to spring to summer to fall to other countries and by other countries I mean Canada. Growing up in Michigan, it was very easy to get in and out of Windsor and to travel around Canada and play highly competitive hockey nonstop. It was every weekend. We had something going on every single weekend. And as an adult man who loves to hunt and has a full-time job, I cannot imagine having to try and squeeze in that passion that you have for what you love. And as long as you have a great team, a parental team, I think it's possible to find that balance. There will inevitably be sacrifices that you make for the things that you enjoy for the benefit of your family. But if you never follow through on those things that you love, you will look back one day when it's all said and done and be fucking pissed. Now, I'm not fucking pissed, but I just had a birthday yesterday and I'm having a really fucking hard time with it. But I look back and I realized I spent 13 years in Florida. And while I did a lot of really fun things in Florida, I didn't realize how passionate I was about hunting because I didn't do it down there. Hunting was not something that ever crossed my mind when I lived in Florida. It crossed my mind like October 1st because everybody would send me, hey man, going out in the woods, just miss you, wish you'd come back and we could hunt. Or my aunt would send me like a clip of Fred Bear from Ted Nugent. And so once a year I might think about it. But I didn't realize how passionate I was about the outdoor industry and my love for this sport until I moved back home in 2017, so I was 36. So I spent from 26 to 36, actually like 23 or 24 to 36 in Florida. And I think, man, I was so much more nimble and limber and agile back in that time frame of my life. And I didn't utilize it. I didn't know what my passion was at the time. I spent my whole life working and trying to be more financially responsible, and I did that. I advanced in my career, and I became very successful in what I was doing, and I was able to do a lot of fun things, and I had a very beautiful wedding here in Michigan, and we took a wonderful honeymoon to New Zealand, and I was able to buy a beautiful house back up here and move my whole family up here, and I have all the toys and wonderful things, but I spent... Sorry, I'm running out of breath here. Another victim of being 42. I'm winded from talking. I spent like those really great mobile hunting ages sweating my balls off in Florida and not doing my passion. And so today, at 42, I am married with 3 children. Only one of them, my son, plays a sport, so he does travel, or he does hockey, and he's about to do travel hockey, and I've had a lot of passionate discussions with my family about how important it is that I still continue to hunt. And while I do my best and sometimes burn the candle at both ends to be at his sporting events, I do make as many and as much of an effort as I can to be at as many as possible. But there are times of the year where my passion has to get equal attention. And sometimes I make sacrifices from in the rest of the year of doing things so that I can do that in the fall. And I find this overall feeling of absolutely, completely abandoning your passion no matter what so that you can be at your children's sporting event. I find that to be short-sighted. I think it's really important. Your kid may not acknowledge it while they're still young and growing. But I think as they get older, they may look back, similarly to what I am doing currently, they will look back and say, you know what? Man, my dad really supported me. Like, he was there as much as possible. My parents were there so much. And he also did this. He also had things that he loved to do. And I remember him having a really great time when he went hunting and coming back and sharing those stories with us. And I also remember him being at hockey. For me, I only remember my parents being at hockey. I don't remember my parents having a pastime. My dad worked at home. So my dad worked at home in the basement. He would go to meetings sometimes at job sites and people's houses. Exactly what I do. It's exactly, I am not an architect, but I'm in the industry. And so I work in my basement. I travel accordingly. I travel as needed to job sites. I have meetings, but I have a pastime, and I'm fucking passionate about it. But when my dad was my age, it was hockey, and that is all. When I was younger, I think he would occasionally go bird hunting, like pheasant hunting with his friends. He would do some duck hunting in Canada. He would do some goose hunting as well. But as we got older, that went away, and I don't remember my parents having a pastime. You know, my dad had a boat. We had a boat, and we would occasionally go fishing, but my dad would never miss hockey to be doing his passion. And so when I look back, unfortunately, I realize my dad probably gave up some things completely so that he could commit to being there for us for hockey. And so I want my son to grow up and say, man, my dad loved to go hunting, and he was really good at it, and he had a really great time, but he was also at most of my hockey games. I want him to remember that. And I think if you don't commit to maintaining or embracing your passion, you will lose it. And your kid's going to grow up and think the only way to do it is to completely self-abandon those things that you love and commit yourself to your children. And I find that to be unhealthy. And I hope that makes sense. I have like very small notes written in front of me. And sometimes I talk myself in circles, or I tuck myself inside a pretzel knot there. And I'm never really sure if at the end of what I'm trying to say it made a lot of sense. But I hope it did. Again, that could get a lot of hate, but also I hope it resonates with some people, because I think there's a lot of us that are struggling with that balance, that personal passion, life, responsibility balance. And it's, I got it pretty good with my working from home situation, my freedoms, but not everybody has that. And I hope that I was able to maybe resonate with a few people. Speaking of kids, I was listening to a podcast. I was listening to the Generations to Hunt podcast with Uncle Joe and Uncle Matt, and they had a guy on there whose dad would buy him points in other states, and that way, that he was a kid and he was maybe going to school, but he was interested in hunting, but he didn't have like the financial means to buy himself points. And so his dad was doing it for him, such that when he got to an age, he and his father could do these out-of-state hunts together. And I was like, man, why am I not doing that for my son? My son is just getting into hunting. I may have mentioned on here, I told him no more crossbow. He can only hunt with a compound from now on. So I bought him a compound last year. His responsibility this year is to shoot 15 shots every single day, all year long till hunting season, so that I can crank that bow up. He can be strong enough to draw back and kill a deer at 30 yards. I want him to be able to kill a deer at 30 yards, even though the chances are good the deer will be less than that. I want him to feel confident and strong enough to shoot a bow at 30 yards from a tree. And so anyway, he's just getting started. But if I'm going to buy points, why don't I create accounts for my son, so that in the next 3 or 4 years, he and I can have the same amount of points in Iowa, and he'll be 13 or 14, surely strong enough to hunt from a tree with a compound. He can be my cameraman. I can be his cameraman. He can hang stands with me. He can hike in with me, and I can feel confident in his abilities. Why am I not buying him points? So I'm curious, how many of you guys and gals, I don't think I have many ladies that listen, which is unfortunate, because I am dreamy. I just don't think I have a lot of ladies that listen. Anyway, how many of you are buying your children points for future hunts, and are they aware of it? I haven't told my son that I'm going to do it, but I am going to start buying him points in like Kansas and Iowa and anywhere else where we can do some of these really cool out-of-state whitetail hunts in a few years. As much as I'd love to go to Iowa by myself, I'm not sure if I would rather wait and get a bunch of points and then he and I can go together when he's like 13. That's probably what I'll do. But, the Kansas situation, I can't get a good read on whether my brother and Uncle Head are going to apply this year or not. My guess is they're not, and I'll probably have to apply myself to go again by myself, but we'll see. But I'm going to start buying my son points. Let me know on Instagram underneath this particular post's picture whether or not you or your wife or your family buy points for your kids. I'm very curious to see how prevalent this is in the hunting community. Finally, don't buy all the stuff. It's cool to shop. It's cool to window shop. I think it's even cooler to rehome some things you don't have. Like I gave away some stuff last year. There's nothing I hate more than negotiating, buying and selling things on Facebook Marketplace. There is nothing I hate more than negotiating with somebody on Facebook Marketplace. So, I wrote down, don't buy all the stuff. Be realistic about what you're going to use. For example, I rarely use my binoculars. Rarely. I bought a nice set. I carry them with me sometimes. I use them sometimes. But during season, they're almost always just in my pack and never on my person. However, I keep looking at spotting scopes. Like, what the fuck, man? You already have binoculars you don't use. Why are you shopping for a spotting scope? Who do you think you are? Steven Ranella? No, I am not. Stop, man. Stop. And you too. Stop, dude. Lady, my lady. Don't just buy shit to have shit. Be realistic about what you're going to use. And if you buy things and you realize you don't use them, don't be a hoarder. Get, what's the word? Not upcycle. You're not upcycling, but rehome it. Donate it to somebody who's just getting started. Share, or sell it. Fucking, if you don't mind selling stuff on the internet, sell it. Try to rehome this stuff that you don't need. Like, I'm going to have a platform this year that I didn't use all of last year, and I'm definitely going to give it away. It is a tree hopper platform. I thought I may use it for a semi-permanent set last year, and I never did. So that means this year I'm going to get rid of it. Why? I have a 0.5, I have an XOP Vanish, and I have a Lone Wolf, the fixed platform. I don't need another platform. So I'm going to give it away. I have a few sets of sticks. I'll probably give away my Hawk Heliums, the homemade shorties. I bought them used on Facebook, and some dude cut them down. They're fine, but I don't need them. I'm going to have 2 sets of really light climbing sticks at 20 inches a piece, 2 sets, so 6 total. I'm going to have a set of the Lone Wolves. I'm going to have a set of the new Latitude carbon sticks. I've even got 4 XOPs that came with that Vanish kit for Father's Day last year. So I have tons of sticks. I'm going to give away those. I don't really have a ton of other things I'm going to give away. I only say I'm going to give them away because I don't want to sell anything. But if you are somebody who is always buying the newest thing, make sure that you're repurposing that stuff that you're not using anymore, because there's a lot of people who really could benefit and maybe can't afford all that new stuff. But mostly, just be realistic. Like, if you're looking at something, say, hey, does this fit my budget? And if it does, wonderful. But is it practical? Is it something that you can actually, like, I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to create a scenario in your head and say, here's the scenario at which I will use this thing. And so in my head, I go, okay, for me, it's the spotting scope with the little phone attachment, which I think is super cool. And I think it like clamps onto your window. And I'm like, oh, that's really awesome. How many times have I been glassing? Fucking 0. But I keep my binoculars in my front seat all the time. And I have pulled over and used my binoculars a couple times. The one time where it was most frequent was in Kansas. And I didn't need a spotting scope. My binoculars worked just fine. And so I thought to myself, you're an idiot. Don't buy a spotting scope. Just keep using your $150 binoculars or whatever the hell they cost. But before you go ahead and waste that money on something that you really don't need, close your eyes and create a scenario. Create that scenario at which you think you need it. And if you do need it, great. But more often than not, we're a nation of hoarders, and we're just buying stuff to buy stuff to have stuff. Consumerism at its finest. Anyway, those were the couple things I had down today. I'm gonna talk to hopefully Tyler Bentley of the Rise Hunt YouTube extraordinaire channel. The one of the, according to what I can tell, one of the hardest working guys in the industry. He is always doing or creating something. That dude is a hustler. I'd like to talk to him soon. I hope to talk to Jace over at Michigan Great Outdoors soon. And hopefully I can get my brother back on here, because I really want to pick his brain about this new trail camera ban in Kansas and how he really feels about trail cameras. I mentioned something the other day, and that boy flew off the handle. So I'd like to pick his brain a little bit more. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this shorty. This has been good for me to get a few things off my chest. Anyway, we will talk to you next time. Thanks. See ya.